There was once a man who believed that seduction was about looks, about charm, about being liked. He smiled at everyone, agreed with everyone, offered compliments freely. He was pleasant, harmless, forgettable. He watched as others, less attractive, less agreeable, seemed to command attention, inspire devotion, bend others to their will. He resented them. Then he studied them. What he discovered changed everything. Seduction is not about being liked. It is about being desired. And desire is not created by giving. It is created by withholding. He had always been transparent. His feelings, his desires, his next move. People knew what he wanted, and because they knew, they could give it to him cheaply or withhold it to control him. He learned to become a mystery. He did not reveal his intentions, did not explain his actions, did not confess his feelings. People projected onto him what they wanted to see, and their projections became their chains. The unreadable intent is the intent that cannot be countered, and the man who keeps his desires hidden is the man whose desires are never used against him. The man had always been available, always responsive, always present, always eager. He learned that availability kills desire. What is always there is never treasured. He began to withdraw. He did not answer immediately, did not attend every invitation, did not reveal his feelings. Suddenly, people who had taken him for granted began to seek him. The unavailable prize is the prize that is valued, because it might not be won. And the man who learns to be scarce is the man who becomes valuable. He had needed approval, needed love, needed attention. This need was visible, and visible need repels. He learned to kill his need. He did not need anyone's approval because he approved of himself. He did not need anyone's love because he loved himself. He became complete, and completeness is the most seductive quality. The unfelt need is the need that cannot be exploited, and the man who needs nothing is the man whom others need. He had always made things easy. Easy to please, easy to be with, easy to leave. He learned that ease breeds boredom. He began to create challenges. He disagreed, he teased, he withdrew. He made others work for his attention. The effort they invested became their attachment. The unspoken challenge is the challenge that makes the prize worth winning, and the man who does not give himself away cheaply is the man who is valued highly. He had confessed his insecurities, believing that vulnerability would build intimacy. He learned that vulnerability without power is not intimacy. It is ammunition. He stopped sharing his weaknesses. He presented strength, not because he was invulnerable, but because he understood that perceived strength attracts and perceived weakness repels. The unshared weakness is the weakness that cannot be weaponized, and the man who guards his vulnerabilities is the man who cannot be wounded by those he seeks to seduce. He had once displayed his accomplishments, hoping to impress. He learned that obvious self-promotion repels. He stopped advertising his value. He let his competence speak through action, not words. Others began to notice his skills, his intelligence, his power, and because they discovered it themselves, they valued it more. The unwitnessed superiority is the superiority that is inferred, not announced, and the man who does not boast is the man whose abilities are never doubted. The man who learned the art of seduction did not become a manipulator. He became a creator of desire. He understood that seduction is not about taking. It is about offering something so compelling that others choose to give. He offered his presence, his attention, his mystery. He offered the possibility of connection, not the guarantee. And those who tasted his presence craved more, not because he gave, but because he withheld. He had once believed that seduction ended with conquest. He learned that conquest is not the end. It is the beginning of maintenance. He never stopped seducing. Even after winning someone's attention, he continued to challenge, to withdraw, to intrigue. The unfinished seduction is the seduction that never ends. And the man who never stops courting is the man who is never taken for granted. He had always tried to be noticed, to speak, to perform, to dominate conversations. He learned that the loudest voice is often the least heard. He became still. He spoke less, listened more, occupied space without demanding it. His presence became a vacuum that others rushed to fill. The unforced presence is the presence that draws attention without begging for it. And the man who is comfortable in silence is the man whose words, when spoken, carry weight. He had worn his heart on his sleeve, broadcasting his feelings to anyone who looked. He learned that emotional transparency is vulnerability. He began to control his expression, not to deceive, but to protect. He felt his emotions, but he did not display them. Those who tried to read him found only calm, and calm is intimidating. The unreadable emotion is the emotion that cannot be exploited, and the man who controls his face controls the room. He had once been jealous, and his jealousy had been visible, pathetic, repulsive. He learned that jealousy is a form of need, and need repels. He stopped feeling jealous. He trusted his value, and his confidence made others wonder if they should be jealous of him. The unfelt jealousy is the jealousy that is never displayed, and the man who is not threatened by rivals is the man whose rivals seem irrelevant. He had once believed that seduction was about fulfilling others' desires. He learned that the most powerful seduction is about creating desires they did not know they had. He planted images, hinted at possibilities, left fantasies unfinished. Others filled the gaps with their own imaginations, and their imaginations were more powerful than anything he could have offered. The unshared fantasy is the fantasy that is co-created, and the man who leaves room for imagination is the man whose seduction is completed by the seduced. The man who mastered seduction did not use his skills to harm. He used them to connect, to build relationships that were based on genuine desire, not obligation. He learned that seduction is not manipulation. It is the art of becoming so compelling that others choose to be drawn to you. He became a person of value, of mystery, of challenge. And those who entered his orbit did so freely, gladly, desperately. He had not taken from them. He had given them the gift of wanting. He had once been always present, always available, always predictable. He learned to withdraw, not completely, but strategically. He would give attention, then take it away. He would offer warmth, then coolness. The withdrawal created hunger, and hunger is the engine of desire. The unfinished withdrawal is the withdrawal that never fully retreats, and the man who knows when to leave is the man who is always wanted back. He had once performed charm, smiling too much, laughing too easily, agreeing too quickly. He learned that performed charm is transparent. He stopped performing. He became genuine in his disinterest, authentic in his distance. His rare smiles were treasured because they were earned. The unforced charm is the charm that is never begged for, and the man who does not try to be charming is the man who is finally charming. He had once tried to prove his worth through words.
He learned that value is not proven, it is demonstrated through absence. He stopped explaining his worth. He let his rarity speak. The unreadable value is the value that is felt, not argued. And the man who does not defend his worth is the man whose worth is never questioned. He looked back at his journey, from the eager pleaser to the magnetic presence. He knew he was not finished. New people would enter his life, new challenges would arise, new desires would need to be cultivated. He accepted this. The unfinished mastery is the mastery that must be practiced daily. And the man who never stops learning the art of seduction is the man who never stops being seductive. The man in our story is not a predator. He is a creator of desire. He learned that seduction is not about taking. It is about becoming so valuable that others want to give. He learned to withhold, to challenge, to withdraw, to mystery. He learned that the most seductive quality is not giving, it is the possibility of giving. Now you have the blueprint. Stop being available. Stop explaining. Stop needing. Become scarce, mysterious, complete. Be the prize, not the pursuer. Be the prince.
Subscribe to The Dark Scholar. This channel is your weekly masterclass in the art of influence and desire. Hit subscribe now and learn to become irresistible. Today, identify one person or situation where you have been too available, too responsive, too eager, too present. Withdraw one step. Do not explain, do not apologize. Just be slightly less available. Notice how they react. Comment below, I became scarce today. Let us build a community of people who are desired, not just liked. The man who had learned the laws of seduction was now a presence. People noticed him, desired him, sought his attention. Yet he noticed a new danger. His success had made him complacent. He had become the prize, but he had stopped evolving. Those who had been drawn to his mystery began to sense that the mystery had been solved. He realized that seduction is not a destination, it is a continuous process of becoming. The moment you are fully known, the spell begins to break. He had once answered every question, satisfied every curiosity, filled every gap. He learned that curiosity is the engine of desire, and answering it kills the engine. He began to leave questions unanswered, to let curiosity linger, to let others wonder. Their desire to know became their desire to stay. The unshared curiosity is the curiosity that is never fully satisfied. And the man who withholds answers is the man whose secrets are never exhausted. He had once revealed himself too completely, believing that intimacy required transparency. He learned that a mystery solved is a mystery dead. He began to keep parts of himself hidden, even from those closest to him. He let others discover new layers over time, always leaving something undiscovered. The unfinished mystery is the mystery that never fully reveals itself, and the man who always has another layer is the man who is never fully known, and therefore never fully possessed. He had once been either fully present or fully absent. He learned that the most powerful seduction lies in the space between. He began to oscillate, near, then far, warm, then cool, available, then withdrawn. This oscillation created a rhythm that others could not predict. They leaned in when he pulled away, retreated when he approached. The unreadable distance is the distance that keeps others off balance, and the man who controls the rhythm controls the dance. He had once feared boring others, so he performed, entertained, amused. He learned that the fear of boring others is a form of need, and need repels. He stopped performing.
He let silence exist, let pauses stretch, let others fill the space. Those who could not handle his stillness revealed themselves as unworthy of his presence. The unfelt boredom is the boredom that is not his to manage, and the man who is comfortable with silence is the man whose stillness is mistaken for depth. He had once been jealous of others' attention. He learned that the most powerful position is not being jealous, it is being the object of jealousy. He cultivated his life so fully, so richly, that others became jealous of his freedom, his focus, his peace. Their jealousy became a form of attraction. The unfelt jealousy in reverse is the jealousy that others feel toward you. And the man who lives a life worth envying is the man who is envied. And envy is a form of seduction. He had once said yes too quickly, too eagerly, too often. He learned that a yes that is easily given is a yes that is easily forgotten. He began to delay his yes, to let it be earned. When he finally gave it, it felt like a gift, not an obligation. The unspoken yes is the yes that is felt before it is heard. And the man who withholds agreement is the man whose agreement is prized. He had once used flattery freely, believing that praise created bonds. He learned that obvious flattery is transparent and repulsive. He stopped flattering. He gave rare, specific, genuine praise. So rare that when it came, it was treasured. The unreadable flattery is the flattery that is never suspected. And the man who withholds praise is the man whose praise can change a life. He had once made himself available to everyone. He learned that universality dilutes value. He became selective. He let certain people in and kept others out. His exclusivity was not announced, it was simply practiced. Those who were admitted felt chosen. Those who were not felt the sting of rejection. And rejection, properly managed, creates desire. The unforced exclusivity is the exclusivity that is felt, not declared. And the man who is hard to access is the man who is valued by those who gain access. The man who had mastered the deeper arts of seduction was now a ghost and a magnet. He was present, but unreachable, known but mysterious, warm but distant. People did not just want him, they could not stop thinking about him. He had become an obsession, not because he chased, but because he evaded. He had learned that the most seductive quality is not what you give, it is what you withhold. He had once withdrawn completely, disappearing for days or weeks. He learned that complete withdrawal allows others to forget. The most powerful withdrawal is partial, a lingering presence, a half-open door, a text left unread. He stayed present enough to be remembered, absent enough to be missed. The unfinished withdrawal is the withdrawal that never fully removes him, and the man who is never fully gone is the man who is never fully forgotten. He had once competed for attention, for love, for status. He learned that competing signals scarcity, and scarcity is unattractive. He stopped competing. He focused on his own path, his own growth, his own mission. Others began to compete for his attention, and their competition made him more desirable. The unfelt competition is the competition that others feel for you, and the man who does not compete is the man who is competed for. He had once stayed too long, afraid to leave, afraid to lose. He learned that the ability to leave is the foundation of power. He became willing to walk away at any moment, from conversations, from relationships, from situations that no longer served him. This willingness made him fearless, and fearlessness is seductive. The unforced departure is the departure that is always possible. And the man who can leave is the man who is never held hostage. He had once shared his fantasies too freely, believing that transparency would connect. He learned that shared fantasies become mundane. He began to hint, to suggest, to leave images unfinished. Others filled the gaps with their own imaginations, and their imaginations were more powerful than anything he could have described. The unshared fantasy is the fantasy that is co-created in the mind of the other, and the man who plants seeds of possibility is the man whose garden grows without his labor. He had once made promises, offered commitments, given guarantees. He learned that certainty kills mystery. He began to speak in possibilities, not promises. He left the future open, ambiguous, uncertain. Others projected their hopes onto that uncertainty, and their projections became their chains. The unreadable future is the future that cannot be predicted, and the man who refuses to promise is the man who is never trapped by his own words. He looked back at his journey, from the eager pleaser to the magnetic presence. He knew he was not finished. New people would enter his life, new challenges would arise, new desires would need to be cultivated. He accepted this. The unfinished seduction is the seduction that must be practiced daily. And the man who never stops learning the art of influence is the man who never stops being influential. The man who had learned the art of seduction did not use his power to harm. He used it to connect, to inspire, to elevate. He became a person that others wanted to be near, not because he demanded it, but because his presence was a gift. He had learned that the ultimate seduction is not about conquering. It is about becoming so fully yourself that others are drawn to the light you emit. And that light is not created by chasing. It is created by becoming. The man in our story did not become a manipulator. He became a creator of desire. He learned that seduction is not about taking. It is about becoming so valuable that others want to give. He learned to withhold, to challenge, to withdraw, to mystery. He learned that the most seductive quality is not giving, it is the possibility of giving. Now you have the deeper blueprint. Continue to practice scarcity, mystery, and distance. Continue to withdraw, to challenge, to leave fantasies unfinished. Be the prize, not the pursuer. Be the prince. He had once spoken of his skills, his knowledge, his power. He learned that true mastery is silent. He stopped talking about what he could do. He simply did it. Others noticed, wondered, admired, and their admiration was genuine because it was self-discovered. The unspoken mastery is the mastery that needs no advertisement. And the man who does not announce his power is the man whose power is never doubted. Today, practice the law of unfinished withdrawal. In one interaction, a text, a conversation, a meeting, withdraw slightly before the natural end. Leave them wanting more. Do not explain. Do not apologize. Comment below, I withdrew one step today. Let us build a community of people who are desired, not just liked. The man who had mastered the art of seduction was now surrounded by people who desired him, not just romantically, but professionally, socially, even spiritually. He had become a focal point, a presence that others orbited. Yet he noticed a subtle corruption. He had begun to enjoy their desire too much. He found himself cultivating longing not for connection, but for the pleasure of being wanted.
He had become addicted to his own seductiveness. He realized that the greatest danger in seduction is not being rejected. It is being seduced by your own power. The moment you need to be desired, you are no longer free.
He had once thanked people for their attention, their affection, their offers. He learned that gratitude implies indebtedness, and indebtedness is a form of submission. He stopped thanking. He acknowledged, but he did not grovel. He accepted gifts, compliments, and attention as if they were his due. Not because he was arrogant, but because he understood that gratitude creates imbalance. The unreadable gratitude is the gratitude that is felt, but not performed. And the man who does not thank excessively is the man who never lowers himself beneath the giver. He had once taken pleasure in knowing that others wanted him. He learned that this pleasure is a trap. It makes you dependent on their desire, and dependence is weakness. He stopped needing their longing. He enjoyed it when it came, but he did not require it. His self-worth was no longer tied to being wanted. The unfelt satisfaction in desire is the satisfaction that does not rely on external validation. And the man who does not need to be desired is the man who is truly seductive, because he cannot be manipulated by the withdrawal of desire. He had once believed that seduction required reciprocity, that if someone desired him, he owed them something in return. He learned that reciprocity is a chain. He stopped giving back automatically. He let desire exist without obligation. He received without guilt, enjoyed without debt. The unforced reciprocity is the reciprocity that is never demanded. And the man who accepts desire without repayment is the man whose presence is a gift, not a transaction. He had once been obsessed with his own image, his own performance, his own seductiveness. He learned that self-obsession is the death of seduction. He stopped watching himself. He stopped performing for an internal audience. He simply became, and his becoming was authentic. The unfinished withdrawal from the self is the withdrawal that turns attention outward, and the man who forgets himself is the man whom others cannot forget. He had once told others about his seductions, his victories, his conquests. He learned that sharing conquests cheapens them and creates enemies. He stopped talking. He kept his victories silent, his successes invisible. No one knew whom he had captivated. And because no one knew, no one could compete, envy, or interfere. The unshared conquest is the conquest that is never advertised. And the man who does not boast of his seductions is the man whose seductions remain powerful. He had once believed that seduction required striving, always improving, always optimizing, always chasing. He learned that contentment is seductive. A man who is satisfied with himself, his life, his path, a man who does not need more, radiates a peace that others want to absorb. He stopped striving. He rested in his own sufficiency. The unreadable contentment is the contentment that is not desperate. And the man who is already whole is the man whom others want to complete. He had once been afraid of losing the people he had seduced, their attention, their desire, their presence. He learned that this fear made him cling, and clinging repels. He stopped fearing loss. He accepted that people come and go, that desire fades and returns, that nothing is permanent. His calm in the face of potential loss made him magnetic. The unfelt fear of losing is the fear that is not projected. And the man who is not afraid to lose is the man who is not afraid to win. He had once believed that seduction was about others. He learned that the most important seduction is of the self. He seduced himself into growth, into discipline, into becoming the person he admired. When he was fully seduced by his own potential, others were naturally drawn to him. The unfinished seduction of the self is the seduction that never ends. And the man who is constantly becoming is the man who never stops being interesting. He had once hoarded his attention, believing that scarcity was the only path to desire. He learned that generous attention, given freely without expectation, is also powerful, but only when it comes from abundance, not from need. He began to give attention to those who deserved it, not to those who demanded it. His attention became a reward, not a bribe. The unforced generosity of attention is the attention that is given because it is chosen. And the man who gives attention freely but selectively is the man whose attention is prized.
The man who had learned the art of seduction was now old. His hair was gray, his face lined, his body slower. Yet his presence was more powerful than ever. He had stopped trying. He had stopped performing. He simply was. People still sought him, still desired his attention, still wondered at his calling. He had learned that the ultimate seduction is not about action. It is about being. When you become a person of depth, of peace, of quiet power, you do not need to seduce. You simply attract. And those who are drawn to you stay because they have found something rare. A person who is fully himself. He had once been driven by ego, the need to be seen, admired, desired. He learned that ego is the enemy of true seduction. He let go of his need for recognition. He stopped caring whether he was noticed. In that surrender, he became more noticeable than ever. The unspoken farewell to the ego is the farewell that is never announced. And the man who kills his ego is the man who becomes unforgettable. He looked back at his journey from the eager pleaser to the magnetic presence. He knew he was not finished. New people would enter his life, new challenges would arise, new desires would need to be cultivated. He accepted this. The unfinished mastery is the mastery that must be practiced daily. And the man who never stops learning the art of influence is the man who never stops being influential. He had once filled every silence with words, every pause with performance. He learned that the final seduction is silence. He became comfortable with the end of conversations, the departure of lovers, the closing of doors. He did not chase, did not beg, did not explain. He let things end, and his grace in ending made people want to return. The unforced silence at the end is the silence that says more than words. And the man who can let go is the man who is always welcomed back. He had once worried about how he would be remembered as a seducer, a manipulator, a heartbreaker. He learned that legacy is irrelevant to the dead. He stopped worrying. He focused on living well now, on being present now, on seducing the moment rather than the memory. The unreadable legacy of desire is the legacy that is not curated. And the man who stops trying to control his reputation is the man who is free to live without performance. The man in our story is not a predator. He is a creator of desire. He learned that seduction is not about taking. It is about becoming so valuable that others want to give. He learned to withhold, to challenge, to withdraw, to mystery. He learned that the most seductive quality is not giving. It is the possibility of giving. And finally, he learned that the ultimate seduction is not of others. It is of the self.
When you have seduced yourself into becoming the person you admire, you do not need to chase. You attract. Be that person. Be the prince.
Subscribe to The Dark Scholar. This channel is your weekly masterclass in the art of influence, desire, and becoming. Hit subscribe now and continue your journey to becoming irresistible. Today, practice the law of unforced silence at the end. In one interaction, a conversation, a date, a meeting, let it end without filling the silence. Do not chase. Do not explain. Let them wonder. Comment below, I let one silence stand today. Let us build a community of people who are desired, not just liked, and who are free.
The most seductive person is not the one who chases. It is the one who sits at the center, at peace, and lets the world orbit. Be the center. Be the prince.